Hello guys, as usual stay home, stay safe, and don't forget to do Excel chemistry. Alright, so I hope you have watched the first video. So now let's continue the next topics. In case you have not watched, first finish of that. It is hardly some 20 minutes I hope, so you can fastly cover it and then go for the other properties. So yesterday we were talking, or the other day we were talking about the ionization energy, and I have stopped. I asked you to identify this. So by definition, what is ionization energy? The amount of energy that is required to remove an electron from isolated gaseous atom. This is the definition of ionization energy. So mind it, the amount of energy is required to, for what? To remove an electron, from isolated gaseous atom. So for example, to explain this, we know, like, let me take lithium tendency to lose one electron, Li plus one electron. So for this process to happen, the energy change, that is called as ionization energy. Okay, and we call it as IE1. The difference in the energy is called as ionization energy 1, whatever the energy change happened. So lithium, we know, like, its configuration is 1s2 2s1, right? So 1s2 2s1. So this one electron, when to remove this, see, today's class is mostly about the force of attraction, so try to understand the term force of attraction between the nucleus and the valence electron. So between this nucleus and this valence electron, there is a force of attraction. So as already said, many factors or many consequences will be observed because of this force of attraction only. So if this is the case of force of attraction, let me say case 1, and as usual with cesium, the largest atom, it also becoming for this also, and energy change is also termed as ionization energy 1 for this also. So we know, like, it has many shells, 1 2 3 4, right? So from this the electron is coming out, fine. So the nucleus is at the center somewhere here, and the last valence electron is somewhere here. So between these two there is a force of attraction. So now already we have finalized between these two, in which case the force of attraction is greater, force of attraction is higher, and here the force of attraction is lesser. Why? Because size is smaller, and here as atomic size is larger, fine. So on a whole, we can say, like, from top to bottom, when you are looking from lithium, the order of ionization energy from top to bottom: lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. What will be happening? In which case I can remove the energy required to remove an electron. So in which case I can remove the electron easily. In this case, because the force of attraction is lesser, in this case I can remove this electron easily. But here the force of attraction is greater, so it's very difficult to pull an electron from this. Are you understanding? So it is very difficult to pull an electron, meaning the ionization energy is very high. It is very easily to remove an electron, meaning the ionization energy is lesser. So as we move from top to bottom, that is lithium, sodium, potassium, so which will be having the least one? Least is cesium, and highest ionization energy is what? Lithium. So I can write, like, order of ionization energy is this, and we can say, like, as atomic size is increasing, ionization energy will decrease. So this is the conclusion. Okay, so that's all about ionization energy, nothing much, very simple. Understood? All right, next. it's about oxidation state. The next property, that is oxidation state. We can also call it as oxidation number. Both refers the same. Okay, so what is this oxidation state or oxidation number? By simple definition, it is defined as the number of electrons either gained or lost. Okay, the number of electrons gained or lost by a species to attain stability. To attain stability. So now this point will be discussed with respect to the above one only. If I ask you lithium and Li plus, out of these two, which is more stable? Think and answer. Out of lithium and lithium plus, which is more stable? Think. Sir, how can we justify? We know in 10th or very beginning classes, in most of these classes you might have studied that stability is all depending upon noble gas configuration. Whichever is satisfied by octet rule, that is more stable, correct? So if I ask you lithium and Li plus, noble gas configuration is lithium plus. If I ask you cesium and cesium plus ion, noble gas configuration is matching with Cs plus. Yes or no? So for example, if I talk about, let's say, sodium also. Example, sodium becomes Na plus by losing one electron, right? So sodium configuration, if you write 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1, so this is still there in sodium, whereas here it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1 is no longer there, it's gone. So now 6, 7, 8, so the valence electrons are how many? 8. So that means this is more stable. Na plus is more stable. Are you understanding? So again, oxidation state is nothing but the same thing. The number of electrons gained or lost by a species to attain stability. So we all know, like, metal's tendency is to lose electrons. Yes or no? Metal's tendency is to lose electrons. So for example, Li becoming Li plus, and this is nothing but the noble gas configuration attained. Noble gas, which noble gas is that, by the way? It is helium. Noble gas electronic configuration. When I say noble gas attained, that means it is stable. So on a whole, all the metals, not only lithium, any metal of alkali metals, it will lose one electron, becomes one positive. So I can say that, therefore oxidation number is equals to 1. Oxidation number is equals to what? 1. Now this electron is lost or gained? I said either gained or lost. Right now for the alkali metals it is lost, so it is plus 1. Suppose if it has gained, in case of halogens you will understand, if it gains an electron and become noble gas, then we say that its oxidation number is minus 1. So oxidation state for all the alkali metals is what? Plus 1. And now here important points are this: these metals, they form ionic salts. All lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium, no, cesium, mostly they'll fall ionic salts. But exactly the exception where we have to focus on is lithium. So lithium salts are mostly of covalent in nature. Now why this exception? Okay, they are what? Covalent in nature. Let's understand for what could be the reason. Actually, in chemical bonding chapter, you will study about a rule called as Fezan's rule. Okay, so in that Fezan's rule, you will understand a clear picture of that. Okay, so let me introduce that. Of course, a detailed study of that you will do it in the Fezan's rule, chemical bonding chapter. There is something called as polarizing power. Polarizing power. Okay, so what is this polarizing power? It is the ratio of ionic charge to ionic radius whole square. Okay, So this is called as the polarizing power. Polarizing power, there is a property. Just simply explaining, if you understand here itself, very good. If not, also no issues. Suppose if I have a cation and an anion. Okay, so cations are generally smaller in size and anions are bigger in size. So now this cation which is smaller in size and anion which is bigger in size, the size of the anion will be distorted, will be shapeless over a period of time. Due to the force of attraction by the cation, anions becomes shapeless. Okay, so situation is like initially it could be like this, but during bonding, due to the attractive force of this nucleus on this valence electrons of anion, this is attracted. So what happens is the anion size becomes shapeless. Slowly it gets distorted, is distorted and totally distorted, and then it forms a covalent compound. Okay, now what we are trying to identify is, for this cation we use a term called as polarizing power, and for this anion we use a term called as polarizability, ability to get polarized. Okay, so we are talking about the polarizing power right now. So polarizing power is the tendency of this cation to distort anion. Okay, that is depending on two factors. One is the ionic charge, the charge on this cation, and inversely proportional to the square of ionic radius. Okay, so it is depending on these two factors. Fine. So now if you talk about the alkali metals case, we know like the ionic charge, all the alkali metals, they'll have what charge? +1. So I can say like this is constant for a given group. For the given group, first group elements, ionic charge is constant, it is always +1. And ionic radius, yesterday we have discussed about atomic size. Ionic radius and ionic radius or atomic size almost same, only atomic size means normal atoms, but here we size of the radius of the ions, that's all. So if you compare with this one, the same trend. Okay, as you move from top to bottom, size is increasing. So from lithium plus to cesium plus, if I compare, atomic size is what? Increasing. So if this factor, if the denominator factor is increasing, it's a square still increment. So what happens to the polarizing power? From top to bottom, it is inversely proportional to the ionic radius, correct? So polarizing power is inversely proportional to ionic radius and directly proportional to ionic charge. So now polarizing power is inversely, so as this value is increasing a lot, polarizing power will be decreasing, correct? So I can say like, due to this, what can I conclude? I conclude that lithium has high polarizing power, because order of polarizing power, if I write, you will be very much clear. Order of polarizing power. So what is the order of polarizing power? Lithium should be highest, because the charge is constant but size matters. So this lithium is smaller in size, so greater force of attraction to distort the anion. So then followed by sodium, then followed by potassium, rubidium and cesium. So this is what the trend with respect to what? Polarizing power. I hope you understood what is polarizing power. Actually this point or this topic I should deal it in the chemical bonding. If you have understood this, very good. Even if you have not understood this, no problem, we'll re-deal it in chemical bond. Now I want you to understand this conclusion. Lithium has high polarizing power, and whichever has high polarizing power, it will form covalent compounds. So that's the reason what we have observed here is lithium salts are covalent in nature, because due to lithium has high polarizing power. So this is the reason. I hope you understood. Okay, if not understood, pause it, get back, rewind it, and then study about it. Moving ahead. So on a whole, we understood that polarizing power plays a key role with respect to the compounds formed by the metals. So same reason you'll also explained for the beryllium's case also. Okay, then in the same point, let me also use another one, that is M plus ions, that is alkali metals, where M stands for what? Alkali metals, metal ions. So alkali metal ions, they do not have any unpaired electron, any unpaired unpaired electron. Okay, why I'm saying this point? See, in case of lithium itself, suppose if I have seen lithium becoming Li plus, so it has 1s2, 2s1. So now it has what? Just 1s2. So if I represent it in blocks, this is 2s1, but here it has become what? Only 1s2. 2s1 was become 0, so there is no. So in here I have one unpaired electron, unpaired electron in the normal state, but Li plus there is 0 unpaired electrons. So that's what I have written. M plus ions do not have any unpaired electrons. By this phenomena, therefore I write like this: they act as diamagnetic. Okay, remember this regarding the magnetic properties or magnetic behavior. I will tell you one trick. Remember as Uttar Pradesh, UP. What is UP? If there are unpaired electrons present, then they are paramagnetic. If there are no unpaired electrons, then they are diamagnetic. So if you remember UP, Uttar Pradesh, then you can understand. So what is UP? If unpaired electrons are present, then they are called as paramagnetic. If no unpaired electrons, diamagnetic. So right now M plus ions do not have any unpaired electrons. So should they become diamagnetic or paramagnetic? Diamagnetic. Okay, so remember this point. So they are what? Diamagnetic in nature. And since there is no unpaired electrons, that is 0 unpaired electrons, they act as diamagnetic and also colorless. They are what? Colorless. Okay, so normally the ions, they are what? Colorless. But if you observe some cases like K2, Cr2, O7, it is orange color. Okay, so just now I said that these ions should be of what? Colorless. So now in this case, K potassium is of what state, what oxidation state? K plus 1, and this one as Cr2O7 minus 2. This is K plus 1 and Cr2O7 minus 2, and this is colorless as already said, but still this compound is colored. How? It is colored not because of K plus 1, it is colored because of this one, that is Cr2O7 minus. Okay, anionic color. Anion is colored. Same goes with the explanation for KMnO4, potassium permanganate. Okay, this is violet in color. It is violet in color because of what? Anionic MnO4 minus. So this is violet in color because of not K plus ions. Okay, so that is what about the various properties related to the oxidation states. Okay, fine. Next, let me write here itself a note that, so on a whole, in which case the electrons can be easily removed. We have seen it already, in which case the electrons can be easily removed. In case of cesium, right? In cesium case I can remove the electron easily. In fact, it is so easy that even the photons, even the normal visible light, when it falls on these alkali metals, okay, they excite these electrons. So very important point, that is first group elements have less ionization energy such that even photons is nothing but normal visible light. Okay, even the photons is sufficient, normal light is also sufficient to liberate the valence electrons, and hence they are used as this phenomena is called as photons are used. No, we are using photons, so photoelectric effect, because electrons are coming out, so photoelectric effect. Because of this reason, photoelectric effect, potassium and cesium, they are used as used in photoelectric cells. photochemical cells, not electric, photochemical cells. This point we noted, very much important, in fact asked in NEET exam. So potassium and cesium, which among the first group elements they are used in photochemical cells is potassium and cesium, remember that. All right, so now let's talk about the electronegativity, electropositivity. So there are some more properties or the compounds that contains various atomic properties. So the next one is electronegativity. By definition, what is electronegativity? The relative tendency of an atom, the relative tendency of an atom, why is it looking blur, one second. The relative tendency of an atom to attract shared pair of electrons. Okay, so this is called as electronegativity. So I want you to remember the definition also, most important. Okay, so in which case the attracting power is greater. Lithium is smaller atom, lithium. Then I have sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. Cesium is bigger atom. So in which case the force of attraction will be greater? Obviously the smaller ones. Okay, so this small fellow will have higher electronegativity than sodium, than potassium, than rubidium, than cesium. So remember this order. Okay, in fact we have a scales, we have Pauling scale, Millikan scale, and Alfred Rochat scale to identify these electronegativities, and we follow Pauling scale especially. So as if now just a simple logic, what is that? Attractive force is greater for the lithium case, and hence the tendency to pull the electrons is greater for lithium, and size of cesium is very much bigger. One second, I don't know why it is blur. All right, so cesium's case bigger in size, so that's why the attractive force is lesser, so automatically electronegativity is greater for lithium and least for cesium. Same thing we can also discuss about electropositivity. Electropositivity, which is also related to metallic character, metallic nature. This is also attributed to the same thing, metallic nature. Okay, so what is this electropositivity? Very simple. The species that can lose the electron easily and become electropositive. Again I repeat, the tendency of an atom to lose an electron and become electropositive. So just now we have seen in which case which metal is readily losing an electron? Cesium. It is related with ionization energy, you can relate. So in which case I can remove the electron easily? Cesium. So cesium is readily losing an electron and becoming electropositive. Lithium on the other hand is smaller atom, so its tendency to lose out electron as compared to cesium is very less. Cesium is readily losing, lithium is not readily losing. So I can say that in terms of electropositivity and metallic character, what is happening? It is increasing. Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, and then cesium. So this is the order. Metallic nature also. Whichever metal's tendency is to lose electron. So who is readily losing electron? Cesium. So that's why it is more metallic and lithium is least metallic. Just now we have also said that lithium is of more of covalent compound, covalent nature, right? So remember that. Then conductivity. Conductivity of a species or conductivity is always depending upon mobility of electrons. So I can say like all are good conductors of heat and electricity. Good conductors of heat and current or electricity. Why? Since they have free electrons. Conductivity is always depending upon the free electrons. So all of them is readily losing the electron, becoming charging, and they have the free electrons, and that's why they are all good conductors. Okay. Then after this we have something called as flame test. Now this thing you must be knowing by heart. Okay. So experimentally found values. When you take the metals, when you just take the lithium, sodium, potassium, these metals, and perform it under the flame, you just burn under flame, they give color. So first of all, why do they give color? Because see, normally these electrons which I have said, the last valence electrons, they always get excited when they gain the energy. So they absorb energy. Suppose let's say like the electron is in the ground state, they absorb energy, and then they excite to higher energy level. So let's say like there is another energy level. Okay, for example, lithium 2s1, the next energy level is 2p, let's say for example. So the electron absorbs energy, that is from photon or whatever it is absorbing the energy, and once it absorbs the energy, it gets excited, and we call it as excited electron. So it jumps into the higher energy level. Now this electron, when it jumps into the higher energy level, it cannot remain there for a long time. Okay, so it will quickly come back to its ground state. Now while it is coming back to its ground state, whatever the energy it has absorbed, very beginning it has absorbed some energy, that energy is released. That energy is what? Released. That energy is released in the form of some spectrum, and this energy will have, when I say energy is released, it has some wavelength, it has some frequency, right? So depending upon this, we will observe a color. Okay, so in the flame test, flame is nothing but heat. So when we heat this, energy is absorbed by the valence electrons, they jump into the high energy level and again come back, and as they come back, they release the energy. They absorbed, now releasing. So depending upon the energy released, we will observe various colors. Now you have to remember this thing. Lithium is crimson red, it is crimson red in color. Then sodium is golden yellow. Potassium is violet in color. Rubidium is reddish violet, and cesium as blue. Okay, so these are the colors when these metals are performed under flame test. Okay, next we have something called as oxidation potential, or you can call it as reducing nature. Okay, so oxidation potential, also can be understood as reducing nature. I want you to remember a very simple word, that is the zodiac sign of lion. Zodiac sign లియో. రాసులు అంటాం కదా, సింహరాశికి ఇంగ్లీష్లో జోడియాక్ సైన్ ఏమంటామంటే లియో అంటాం. అండ్ లియో అంటే లయన్. లయన్ రోర్స్ ఘర్ ఘర్. Okay, so if you remember this, things will become very easy. Loss of electrons is oxidation, gain of electrons is reduction. One more time. Loss of electrons is oxidation, gain of electrons is reduction. Okay, so now with this simple funda, let's understand which one is acting like a good reducing agent and what will have its nature. So we know like all metals tendency is to lose electrons and become M plus, right? And this phenomenon, as said already, what is happening, metal is losing an electron. So can I call this process as oxidation or reduction? Metal is losing one electron, loss of electrons is oxidation. So this process I can write it as what? Oxidation. Okay, and all these metals like lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium and cesium, all of them becoming Li plus, Na plus, K plus, Rb plus, Cs plus. Okay, so these fellows, if you talk about their ionization energies, just now we have discussed, lithium will be having high ionization energy and cesium will be having low ionization energy, right? So because of this reason, we can say that in free state, I'm talking about in free state, combined state it will be different. In free state, the reducing agent, order of the reducing agent is Li plus, then sodium, then potassium, rubidium and cesium. So if they are in the free state, they are not combined with anybody, then this would be the order of reducing agent, reducing nature. Cesium will be readily reducing, it's readily able to reduce. Okay, but in our exam it is never asked about in free state what is the reducing agent. It is always asked about in the combined state only. So according to the combined state, whenever you talk about the combined state, which one is a strong reducing agent with respect to this one, there is something called as SRP, standard reduction potentials. In the electrochemistry chapter of 12th standard, you will study this point. SRP values. According to the SRP values given, the oxidation potentials, SRP or SOP, standard reduction potentials or standard oxidation potentials. Right now I am talking with respect to the SOP values. According to the oxidation potentials, sir, how do you know like this is the order? In fact, this is calculated. Okay, it has performed a chemical experiment, and then according to the chemical experiment the potentials have been calculated, and it is found like lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium and cesium. So sodium has got with very great, that is plus 3.0. Lithium has got 3.0, sodium has 2.71 and 2.93 and 2.99. This is plus 2.9 plus 2.9 and this one has plus 2.9 and almost same as rubidium. Okay, so now this is the values, experimentally calculated values for the oxidation potentials. Now according to this, what we come to the conclusion is the strongest reducing agent is this one. Okay, lithium is being the strongest reducing agent, strongest reducing agent in the solution is lithium. Okay, very important point, remember this. Oh, I think you did not see it. I explain it again. So lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, they have got with the values. These values, how did they get? By experimentally calculated, and these values are called as what? Oxidation potentials. There are SRP or SOP. Just this is all an information. Actually what you have to memorize is, you have to memorize this point. Why is this point like this? When you come to the 12th standard, you will understand it in clear. As if now information, I'm just introducing the information. So oxidation potentials are so and so. So which is having highest values? Lithium. So highest value means oxidation potential of lithium is very high. So if an oxidation potential is very high, it is a good reducing agent, strong reducing agent. Okay, and a weak oxidizing agent. Fine. So as if now remember this point, the star marked one, strongest reducing agent in the solution is what? Lithium. Among all the first group elements, lithium is the strongest reducing agent. Okay, so these are the main properties of atomic properties, and there is one atomic property in fact, that is hydration of ions. With that our atomic properties will be done, and then that is physical properties will be done, and then we'll move to the chemical properties. So for today we shall stop with this. In the next class we'll start with that, understand that hydration of ions, and then move to the chemical properties. Okay, stay home, stay safe.